Welcome to Audiobook segment. Every story you'll hear is crafted from the ground up, written, produced and narrated entirely by us. Nothing recycled, nothing repurposed, just original work made for this channel. So grab your headphones, settle in, and enjoy today's audiobook. Every great transformation begins with small, consistent changes. You don't have to completely reinvent yourself overnight to live a better life. What truly matters is the collection of little actions you take every day, your habits. They quietly shape your thoughts, your energy, your productivity, and ultimately your destiny. If your habits change, your entire life changes. Think about it. Your daily routine defines your success more than your dreams do. Everyone wants a healthier body, a sharper mind, more confidence, and lasting happiness. But few people create the daily habits that make those goals inevitable. It's not luck or talent that separates the successful from the average. It's discipline, consistency, and the invisible power of good habits repeated over time. This audiobook is your guide to mastering that power. You'll learn how habits are formed, how to break the ones that hold you back, and how to design new ones that move you closer to your goals every single day. You'll see how tiny actions, when practiced consistently, can reshape your mindset, strengthen your focus, and completely rewrite your future. If you've ever felt stuck or frustrated because you know what to do but can't seem to do it, this journey is for you. Each chapter will show you a new layer of habit building, from understanding the psychology behind change to applying real-life systems that make growth automatic. Before we begin, remember this. Your habits are the foundation of your life. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. So as you listen, imagine yourself not just learning, but transforming. One small step at a time, you're about to build better habits. And with them, a better life. Chapter 1. The foundation of lasting change. Change doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey that begins quietly, almost invisibly. Every transformation, no matter how massive it looks from the outside, starts with a small decision. A simple choice that repeats itself until it becomes second nature. This chapter is about understanding how habits truly shape our lives and why building better ones is the foundation of every kind of growth. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that your life feels stuck in the same loop. The same thoughts, same routines, same frustrations. You tell yourself you'll change, that tomorrow will be different. But when tomorrow arrives, the same patterns pull you back. This isn't weakness or lack of motivation. It's simply how the human brain is wired. We are creatures of habit, designed to follow paths we've traveled before because they're familiar, predictable, and safe. But here's the truth. The same wiring that traps you can also set you free. The key is not fighting your habits. It's understanding them. The brain loves efficiency. Every time you repeat an action, your neurons fire together, building a connection that makes that action easier next time. Over time, this connection becomes so strong that it no longer requires conscious effort. That's what a habit is, an automatic behavior rooted in the pathways your brain has carved out. If you've ever driven home without remembering the journey, or found yourself scrolling on your phone without meaning to, you've experienced it. The brain goes on autopilot, and that's powerful. Because if you can make good habits automatic, you'll change your life without constant effort or willpower. The problem is that most people try to change their lives using motivation alone. They wake up inspired, ready to transform, and for a few days, everything feels possible. But when life gets busy or stressful, motivation fades, and the old habits return. Why? Because motivation is emotional energy, and emotion fluctuates. You can't rely on feelings to build a system that lasts. Real change happens when you focus on structure instead of mood. A habit is not an act of will, it's a system that runs even when you don't feel like it. Think of it like this: if you plant a seed and water it every day, it doesn't matter how small that seed is. In time it grows roots, then sprouts, and eventually becomes a tree. Habits are those daily drops of water, small, consistent actions that grow into something powerful over time. Let's take an example. Suppose you decide to read for just 10 minutes every day. 10 minutes seems almost meaningless, right? But over a year, that's more than 60 hours of reading. 60 hours of new ideas, knowledge, and growth. All from something so small, it barely felt like effort. That's the hidden power of habits. They multiply quietly. Here's the part most people overlook. Habits don't just change your actions, they change your identity. Every time you perform a habit, you're casting a vote for the type of person you believe yourself to be. If you write a single paragraph, you're becoming a writer. If you go for a short walk, you're becoming someone who cares about their health. If you save a few dollars, you're becoming someone who's responsible with money. Each small habit reinforces a self-image, and that self-image fuels the next action. The more votes you cast, the stronger your new identity becomes. That's why lasting change doesn't start with what you want to achieve. It starts with who you want to become. Ask yourself this simple question: who do I want to be 6 months from now? Maybe it's someone more focused, more disciplined, more peaceful. Once you define that identity, your habits are simply proof of that identity in action. When you see yourself as the kind of person who values health, skipping a workout feels inconsistent. When you believe you're a disciplined learner, wasting time on distractions feels wrong. The shift isn't in behavior, it's in belief. So how do you begin building better habits in real life? The first step is awareness. Before you can build new patterns, you must recognize the ones already running your day. Pay attention to your triggers, the moments that spark certain actions. Maybe you reach for your phone the instant you wake up. Maybe you eat snacks when you're stressed or bored. Habits are always linked to a cue, something that tells your brain, do this now. Once you notice these cues, you can start changing your response. Instead of grabbing your phone first thing in the morning, you could put it across the room and drink a glass of water first. Instead of eating when you're anxious, take a short walk or breathe deeply for a minute. These small substitutions begin rewiring your brain. You're not trying to erase a habit, you're redirecting it. Here's another truth. You can't completely remove a habit, you can only replace it. The energy has to go somewhere. That's why every bad habit must have a better alternative waiting in its place. Now, building new habits also requires friction control. The easier a habit is to start, the more likely it is to stick. If your goal is to read more, keep a book on your pillow so it's the last thing you see before sleeping. If you want to exercise, lay out your clothes the night before. Don't rely on memory or motivation. Design your environment to make good habits obvious and effortless. James Clear calls this concept environment design, but it's really ancient wisdom in modern form. Humans always adapt to their surroundings, so change your surroundings to serve your goals. The final ingredient is consistency. Nothing beats showing up. You don't need perfection, you need persistence. Even when progress feels slow, even when results are invisible, keep repeating the behavior. Remember, repetition builds identity. Every action is a vote. Many people quit just before their habits start paying off. They plant the seed, but stop watering it when the soil looks dry. But growth happens beneath the surface first. You can't see the roots forming, but they're there, preparing for the breakthrough. So be patient, be gentle with yourself. Growth doesn't mean doing everything perfectly. It means refusing to give up on the process. When you understand how habits work, cue, routine, reward, you gain control. You can reprogram your patterns and redirect your energy toward a better version of yourself. A better life doesn't require massive change. It just requires better habits, built one small choice at a time. That's the foundation of lasting transformation. Because when you build better habits, you don't just change what you do, you change who you are. Chapter 2: Breaking the Cycle of Bad Habits. Bad habits don't just appear out of nowhere. They grow slowly, like weeds in a garden you stopped paying attention to. One small decision, repeated enough times, becomes a pattern. And once it turns into a pattern, it starts running on autopilot, often without you even noticing. To build better habits, you first need to understand how to break the old ones that no longer serve you. Most people think breaking bad habits is about having stronger willpower. They try to force themselves to stop, to quit smoking, to stop scrolling, to eat better, to stop procrastinating. And for a few days they succeed. But soon, the old habits come back stronger. It's not because they're weak, it's because habits are designed to resist sudden change. Your brain doesn't like losing comfort. It doesn't care whether a habit is good or bad. It only cares whether it's familiar. Familiar feels safe. That's why you might find yourself doing things you promised you'd stop doing. You're not addicted to the habit itself. You're addicted to the feeling of safety and predictability it gives you. So, the first step to breaking a bad habit is not to attack it head-on, it's to understand it. You can't change what you don't understand. Every bad habit follows a simple loop: cue, routine, reward. The cue is the trigger, the thing that starts the behavior. The routine is the behavior itself, and the reward is the feeling you get afterward. For example, let's say you scroll on your phone late at night. The cue might be boredom or stress. The routine is picking up your phone and opening social media. The reward is a burst of dopamine, that tiny spark of pleasure that makes your brain say, "Do that again." Once you understand that loop, you can begin to break it. You don't have to remove the cue completely. You just have to change your response to it. Instead of scrolling when you're bored, you could stretch, journal, or even take a short walk. The key is replacing the routine, not just resisting it. Think of it like trying to stop a river. You can't block it forever. The pressure will build until it bursts through, but you can redirect the flow. That's what breaking bad habits really means: rerouting your energy towards something better. Now, here's an important truth. Bad habits usually begin as coping mechanisms. They start as ways to handle pain, stress, or emptiness. Over time, they become automatic, even when they're no longer helping. If you try to break a habit without understanding the emotion behind it, you'll always feel like you're fighting yourself. Ask yourself, what am I trying to avoid or numb when I do this? What feeling am I escaping? When you identify the emotion beneath the habit, you remove half its power. You realize the habit isn't really the problem. It's a symptom of something deeper. Take procrastination, for example. Most people think it's laziness, but it's not. It's fear. Fear of failure, fear of imperfection, fear of judgment. The habit of putting things off is your brain's way of avoiding discomfort. So instead of trying to push harder, you have to deal with the fear directly. You have to remind yourself that progress, not perfection, is what matters. The same goes for emotional eating, overspending, or excessive scrolling. They all begin as emotional responses, so healing the emotion weakens the habit. Another key to breaking bad habits is awareness in the moment. Most people live on autopilot. They do things without noticing: bite their nails, overthink, refresh their inbox, complain. To break a habit, you must learn to pause. Just one small pause before the behavior can change everything. When you feel the urge to act on a habit, don't fight it. Just pause and notice it. Say to yourself, "I'm feeling the urge to do this right now." That short moment of awareness interrupts the loop. You don't need to act differently at first. Just notice what's happening. Over time, your awareness becomes stronger than the impulse. Imagine your mind like a room full of lights. Bad habits thrive in the dark, when you're unaware. But the moment you turn on the light of awareness, they begin to fade. You can't fight darkness directly. You only need to shine light. Another strategy is creating friction. Bad habits survive because they're easy. It takes no effort to open your phone, eat junk food, or skip a workout. If you want to break a habit, make it harder to do. Add friction between you and the behavior. If you scroll too much, log out after every use or move social media apps to a folder several swipes away. If you eat unhealthy snacks, don't keep them in the house. If you spend too much online, delete saved payment methods. The harder it is to perform a bad habit, the less often you'll do it. On the other hand, make good habits easier. If you want to exercise, put your shoes where you'll see them. If you want to read, keep a book beside your bed. You're not relying on self-control, you're designing your environment to work for you, not against you. Another reason bad habits stick is because we tie them to our identity. We say things like, "I'm just not a morning person," or "I always procrastinate." But every time you say that, you strengthen the identity that keeps the habit alive. To break a bad habit, you must rewrite the story you tell yourself. Stop saying, "I can't stop doing this." Start saying, "I'm learning to make better choices." Identity change happens slowly, but it begins with language. The words you use shape how your brain sees you. Speak like the person you want to become, not the person you've been. Let's be honest. Breaking bad habits can feel uncomfortable at first. You'll crave the old pattern. Your brain will beg for the familiar reward. That's normal. It means you're rewiring your mind. When those moments come, remind yourself of the bigger picture. Every time you resist an old pattern, you're building a stronger version of yourself. You're proving that you are not controlled by impulse. You are the one in control. And remember this, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Breaking a habit doesn't mean you'll never slip again. It means you recover faster when you do. It means one mistake doesn't turn into a full relapse. If you break your streak, start again the next day. The real progress is not in never falling, it's in rising faster each time you do. Over time, as you weaken the old loops and strengthen new ones, your brain begins to rewire itself. That's called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new connections and let go of old ones. It's like building new roads in your mind. At first, the new path feels rough, unused, uncomfortable, but the more you walk it, the smoother it becomes. Meanwhile, the old path, the bad habit, starts to fade from lack of use. That's how transformation works. Not in one giant leap, but through thousands of small, quiet decisions. So don't rush the process. Respect it. Celebrate every small victory, every time you pause before reacting, every time you choose awareness over autopilot. Those small wins are not small at all. They are the building blocks of freedom. In time, you'll look back and realize the habits that once controlled you no longer have power. You'll wake up one day and feel lighter, calmer, more focused, more you. Because when you break bad habits, you don't just change your actions. You reclaim your energy, your time, and your sense of control. And that's where real change begins. Chapter 3. The Power of Small Wins. Every great success story you've ever heard began with something small. A single choice, a single action, a single decision to do better today than yesterday. Yet most people ignore the small wins. They wait for big results, massive progress, or life-changing breakthroughs. The truth is, big results are nothing more than the accumulation of small, consistent victories. Success is not built in giant leaps. It's built one small step at a time. Think about the first time you learned to walk. You didn't start running immediately. You stumbled, fell, stood again, and took one step. That was your first win. Then another, and another. Over time, those small wins added up until walking became natural. Every skill you've ever learned, every bit of confidence you've ever built, came from this same pattern, small wins repeated over time. But somewhere along the way, we forget this truth. We start expecting instant results. We look at others who seem successful and think they got there overnight. Social media makes it worse. It shows the highlight reel, but hides the process. What you don't see are the thousands of unseen steps, the small wins that created those big moments. Small wins are powerful because they build momentum. Momentum is that invisible force that keeps you moving forward, even when you don't feel motivated. You can't always rely on motivation. It comes and goes, but momentum grows when you take consistent action, no matter how small. Imagine pushing a heavy car that's stuck. At first it's hard. The car doesn't move. You push harder, still nothing. But then, slowly, the car begins to roll. Once it's moving, you don't have to push as hard to keep it going. That's momentum. It starts slow, but once it builds, it becomes unstoppable. Small wins are what get the car moving. The key is not to focus on doing everything at once, but to focus on starting small. The smaller the action, the easier it is to repeat. And repetition is what turns action into habit. For example, instead of saying, "I'll work out for an hour every day," start with 5 minutes. Instead of reading a whole book, read 2 pages. Instead of overhauling your diet, drink 1 more glass of water a day. These tiny wins may seem meaningless at first, but they are not. They are seeds of transformation. The human brain loves progress. Every time you complete a small goal, your brain releases dopamine, the chemical of motivation and reward. That's why checking something off your list feels so good. That little hit of dopamine tells your brain, "This is working. Keep going." Over time, you begin to associate progress with pleasure. That's how small wins build self-belief, not by promising success, but by proving that change is possible. Let's take a real example. Suppose you want to wake up earlier. Instead of jumping from 8 a.m. to 5 a.m. overnight, shift it by 15 minutes. Wake up at 7:45. That's a win. Do it for a week, then another 15 minutes earlier. Slowly, your body and mind adjust. Before you know it, waking up early feels natural, not forced. You didn't rely on willpower. You built a habit through small wins. The same principle applies to building confidence. Confidence isn't something you suddenly have. It's something you earn through experience. Each small win, speaking up once in a meeting, saying no to one distraction, finishing one small project, adds to your confidence bank. You begin to realize, "I can do this," and that belief compounds over time. This is the power of compound growth. Just like money grows with compound interest, your habits, your skills, and your mindset grow with compound effort. Each small action might seem insignificant alone, but together they multiply. A 1% improvement each day doesn't sound like much, but over a year, it makes you 37 times better. That's the math of small wins, quiet, consistent progress that leads to unstoppable transformation. The biggest mistake people make is waiting to feel ready before taking action. But small wins don't require readiness. They require willingness. You don't have to believe in yourself completely to start. You just need to take one step. Action creates clarity, and clarity builds confidence. The more you do, the more capable you feel. Here's the secret. Success is emotional before it's visible. You have to feel successful in small ways before big success arrives. Small wins give you that feeling. They remind you that you're making progress, even when results aren't obvious yet. That's what keeps you going during the hard days. Let's imagine someone trying to write a book. They might feel overwhelmed by the thought of writing hundreds of pages, but if they write just 1 page a day by the end of a year, they'll have written a full-length book. That's the magic of small wins. They make impossible goals feel achievable. Small wins also create identity shifts. Every time you follow through on a small promise to yourself, you reinforce the identity of a reliable person. When you do what you said you would, even in small things, you start to trust yourself again. Many people lose confidence not because they fail, but because they stop keeping promises to themselves. Small wins rebuild that trust. Each win says to your brain, "I am someone who follows through." That belief is priceless. When you truly believe you're capable, you begin to take bigger actions naturally. The cycle continues. Small wins create belief. Belief fuels bigger actions, and bigger actions lead to major success. But you must protect your small wins. Don't let impatience or perfectionism steal them from you. Progress is progress, even if it's slow. It's better to move forward imperfectly than to stand still waiting for perfect conditions. Every expert started as a beginner who didn't quit. Every mountain is climbed one step at a time. When you miss a day or slip up, don't start over with guilt. Just return to your small wins. The goal isn't perfection. It's consistency. Remember, momentum doesn't require speed. It requires direction. As long as you keep moving forward, no matter how slowly, you're winning. Here's a truth worth remembering. Discipline is not built through massive effort. It's built through repeated small actions that become automatic. The more you win in small ways, the more your brain learns to expect success. You begin to see yourself as capable and resilient. That identity becomes your fuel for the journey ahead. Every small win you celebrate rewires your brain for optimism. You start noticing what's working instead of what's missing. You become grateful for progress instead of frustrated by how far you have to go. Gratitude amplifies motivation, and motivation keeps you moving. The difference between those who grow and those who give up is not intelligence or talent. It's their relationship with small wins. The ones who grow know how to stay patient, to trust the process, to celebrate the small steps others overlook. So, take a moment to reflect on your day. Did you make your bed? That's a win. Did you choose a healthy meal? That's a win. Did you take 5 minutes to learn something new? That's another win. Don't underestimate these small victories. They're shaping your future, one decision at a time. Because small wins aren't just about doing things, they're about becoming someone. Every time you take consistent action, you prove to yourself that change is possible, and that belief, more than anything else, is what transforms your life. Over time, you'll look back and realize those small wins weren't small at all. They were the foundation of everything you've built. The moments you thought didn't matter were quietly creating the life you always wanted. That's the magic hidden in every small step. Chapter 4: Designing Your Environment for Success. Success rarely depends solely on willpower. In fact, relying on willpower alone is one of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to build better habits. Willpower is a limited resource. Everyone has a finite amount of mental energy each day, and when it runs low, old habits and distractions creep back in. That's why the key to lasting change lies not just in effort, but in designing your environment. Your environment is the silent force that shapes your actions, often without you even realizing it. The spaces where you live, work, and spend time can either support your goals or sabotage them. A cluttered desk can lead to a cluttered mind. A pantry full of junk food makes healthy eating difficult. A phone buzzing with notifications steals focus. These aren't just coincidences, they're cues that trigger habitual behavior. If you want to build better habits, start by looking at your surroundings. Ask yourself, what in my environment is making it easier to follow old patterns? What can I change to make good habits obvious and effortless? Small adjustments can make a huge difference. For example, if your goal is to exercise more, place your workout clothes and shoes where you can see them as soon as you wake up. If you want to read more, keep a book on your nightstand or in your bag. By making the desired action visible and accessible, you reduce friction and increase the likelihood of performing it. Conversely, make bad habits harder. If you want to spend less time on social media, log out of apps after each use, move them to a folder buried deep on your phone, or even delete them temporarily. If you want to eat less junk food, don't keep snacks in easy reach. By increasing friction for unhealthy actions, you force your brain to pause and make a conscious choice instead of operating on autopilot. Environment design isn't just about physical spaces. It includes the people you spend time with, the media you consume, and the routines you follow. If your friends are constantly negative or unmotivated, their energy will influence you. If your favorite shows keep you glued to the screen for hours, they can sabotage your goals. Choose relationships, entertainment, and routines that reinforce the habits you want to build. Another powerful concept is habit stacking. This is the practice of linking a new habit to an existing one. For instance, if you already brush your teeth every morning, you could use that moment to meditate for 2 minutes afterward. By attaching a new habit to an established routine, you take advantage of the brain's existing patterns to make the new behavior automatic. Your environment should also provide clear cues for action. Humans respond strongly to visual and situational prompts. Leaving your running shoes by the door, your water bottle on your desk, or your journal open on the kitchen counter are simple cues that remind you to act. The more obvious the cue, the more likely the behavior will occur. In addition, consider the concept of energy design. You have limited mental energy each day. Some times are better for focus, some for creativity, and others for rest. Arrange your environment to match your natural energy cycles. Schedule deep work during your peak energy hours. Make distractions less accessible during those times. Reserve low-energy periods for simple or repetitive tasks. Designing your environment to work with your energy, not against it, maximizes productivity and habit formation. Technology is both a tool and a trap. On one hand, apps can help track habits, set reminders, and reinforce progress. On the other hand, constant notifications and endless scrolling can destroy focus. Take control of technology, use it intentionally, turn off unnecessary notifications, set boundaries, and use digital tools to support your goals rather than undermine them. One of the most overlooked aspects of environment is social reinforcement. Being around people who share your goals or values increases your likelihood of following through. This doesn't mean surrounding yourself only with perfect individuals. It means seeking relationships that inspire accountability, encouragement, and growth. Join communities, find mentors, or simply spend time with friends who push you to be better. Your environment extends to the people around you. The science behind environment design is clear. Studies show that people who reduce friction for positive behaviors and increase friction for negative behaviors are far more likely to succeed. This works because the brain favors paths of least resistance. Make good habits easy and bad habits difficult, and your brain will naturally follow the easier path. Environment design is also about routine creation. Humans thrive on predictability. When your day has structure, you don't waste mental energy deciding what to do next. Plan mornings, work periods, meals, and evenings to reinforce the habits you want to build. A well-designed routine reduces decision fatigue and increases consistency. Now, imagine two people who want to read more. One leaves their books on the shelf, tucked away and forgotten. The other leaves a book on the nightstand, open to the next chapter. The first person may intend to read, but rarely does. The second person reads almost automatically every day. The difference isn't motivation, it's environment. Small changes in your environment compound over time. You might not notice the difference immediately, but the consistent reinforcement of cues, the reduction of friction, and the support from your surroundings gradually shape your behavior. Within weeks, habits that once felt difficult begin to feel natural. Actions that used to require effort now happen automatically. Remember, designing your environment is not a one-time task. Life changes, routines shift, and new distractions emerge. Regularly evaluate your surroundings, remove triggers that lead to old habits, introduce cues that promote new ones. Stay proactive. Habit-friendly environments aren't accidental, they're intentional. Finally, consider your mind as part of your environment. Your thoughts, beliefs, and self-talk shape your actions just as much as your physical surroundings. Encourage positive thinking, set clear intentions, and reinforce self-belief. Combine this with your external environment, and you have a powerful system that supports your growth every day. Designing your environment for success isn't about perfection or control. It's about creating conditions where your desired habits are the easiest, most natural choice. It's about shaping your life so that your actions automatically align with your goals. When your environment works with you, not against you, building a better life becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Small intentional changes in your surroundings create massive shifts over time. That's the power of environment design. It's the silent force that propels good habits, reinforces progress, and makes long-term success feel natural. When your habits align with your surroundings, you'll notice something remarkable. Consistency feels effortless, productivity becomes automatic, and the life you desire begins to emerge without constant struggle. Because the truth is, your environment isn't just the space you occupy, it's the framework for the life you're building. Design it wisely, and it will carry you forward every single day. Chapter 5: Motivation versus Systems. Why systems win every time. Most people believe that success comes from motivation. They think that if they feel inspired enough, they will act, and if they feel lazy or tired, they won't. That's a huge misconception. Motivation is fleeting. It rises and falls depending on your emotions, energy, and circumstances. Some days you feel unstoppable, and other days you feel drained. If you rely solely on motivation, your habits will be inconsistent, and your progress will stall. That's where systems come in. Systems are the structures, routines, and processes you create that make success inevitable. Unlike motivation, systems don't depend on how you feel. They guide your actions regardless of your energy level, mood, or circumstances. In fact, the most successful people rarely rely on motivation. They rely on well-designed systems that keep them moving forward every single day. Consider a simple example. Imagine you want to exercise regularly. You might feel motivated today and go for a run, but tomorrow it's raining, you're tired, or you just don't feel like it. Motivation alone might fail. However, if you create a system, say laying out your workout clothes the night before, scheduling your run at the same time each day, or committing to a 15-minute indoor workout regardless of circumstances, you remove the need for constant motivation. Your system carries you forward. This principle applies to every habit, goal, and area of life. Want to write more? Create a system. Write at the same time every morning, even if it's just a paragraph. Want to eat healthier? Prepare meals ahead of time and keep unhealthy snacks out of the house. Want to learn a new skill? Schedule small, daily practice sessions. When systems are in place, progress happens automatically. Systems also remove the mental burden of decision-making. The more choices you have to make about when, where, and how to act, the more mental energy you expend, and the more likely you are to procrastinate or give up. By creating systems, you eliminate unnecessary decisions. Your environment and routines do the work for you. Another benefit of systems is consistency. Motivation fluctuates, but consistent action produces results. If you exercise or study or write, even when you don't feel like it, you are building momentum. Over time, these small, consistent actions compound into remarkable results. Motivation might get you started, but systems make the finish line inevitable. Let's think about professional athletes. Do they train only when they feel inspired? Of course not. They have daily routines, structured workouts, and systems that ensure progress regardless of mood. Their systems remove the reliance on fleeting feelings. That's why they achieve mastery. Not because they are always motivated, but because they show up consistently. One of the biggest mistakes people make is chasing motivation instead of designing systems. They wait for the perfect moment or the right feeling to act, and that moment rarely comes. By the time they feel ready, weeks or months may have passed with no progress. Systems remove this trap. They allow you to act even when you don't feel ready because the framework is already set. Systems also create a feedback loop. When you see results from your routines, your brain naturally reinforces the behavior. You don't need a pep talk or inspiration to continue. The results themselves provide motivation. Every time you complete a task within your system, you are reinforcing the habit, strengthening the neural pathways, and building confidence in your abilities. The key to effective systems is simplicity. Don't overcomplicate. A system should make your desired behavior obvious, easy, and rewarding. If it's too complex, it will fail. For example, if you want to save money, a simple system might be automatic transfers to a savings account each week. You don't have to decide how much to save each time or debate whether you can afford it. The system handles it. Another principle is flexibility. Systems should adapt to life's changes. If an unexpected event disrupts your routine, your system should be resilient enough to accommodate it without collapsing entirely. This prevents frustration and keeps you moving forward, even in imperfect conditions. Systems also protect you from relying on willpower. Willpower is finite, and when it runs out, habits fail. Systems reduce the need for willpower by making good behavior automatic. The fewer decisions you have to make in the heat of the moment, the more likely you are to stick to your habits. It's important to note that systems don't replace discipline entirely. They support it. Discipline is still necessary to establish and maintain the system, especially in the beginning. But once the system is in place, it minimizes the daily reliance on discipline. The system becomes the engine that drives progress. Consider this. One person tries to get fit by relying on motivation. They wake up and think, I want to exercise today. Some days they go, some days they don't. Another person creates a system. They schedule workouts at the same time daily, lay out their gear, and commit to moving their body no matter what. Over a month, the second person exercises far more consistently than the first. Not because they are more motivated, but because their system is stronger. Systems also make it easier to track progress. When you follow a consistent routine, it's simple to measure what's working and what isn't. You can adjust and improve the system over time. Motivation alone doesn't provide a clear metric. It's emotional and unreliable. Systems provide clarity, structure, and accountability. Here's a simple formula. Focus less on wanting to change and more on building the structure that makes change inevitable. Want to read more? Schedule it. Want to learn a skill? Practice daily, even if briefly. Want to write? Commit to a system that requires you to write a little every day. Small, well-designed systems compound into massive results. Each day you follow your system, you reinforce the behavior, strengthen your identity, and make your goals more achievable. Motivation may ignite the spark, but systems sustain the fire. Remember, successful people aren't superhuman. They simply rely on systems that guide them. Systems create habits, habits shape identity, and identity fuels consistent action. Motivation is the icing on the cake, useful but not necessary for long-term success. The takeaway is simple. Build systems, not rely on fleeting motivation. Make good habits easy, obvious, and rewarding. Reduce friction for positive actions and increase friction for negative ones. Let the system do the heavy lifting while you focus on consistency. Over time, the results will amaze you. Actions that once felt difficult will become automatic. Progress that once seemed slow will compound into achievements you never thought possible. You will discover that building a better life isn't about how motivated you feel today. It's about the system you've built to move forward every day. Because when systems are stronger than motivation, habits stick, progress accelerates, and the life you desire becomes inevitable. Chapter 6. The role of consistency. Showing up every day. Consistency is the quiet force behind every success story. It is the invisible ingredient that separates those who achieve their goals from those who fall short. People often overestimate what they can do in a single day and underestimate what they can accomplish over time. Big results are rarely sudden. They are the product of small, repeated actions, done consistently over weeks, months, and years. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with drops of water. One drop won't make a difference. 2 drops won't either. But keep adding drops day after day, and eventually the bucket will overflow. That's the power of consistency. Small efforts compounded into remarkable results. Many people fail because they rely on bursts of effort instead of steady progress. They get inspired, work intensely for a day or a week, and then burnout sets in. When motivation wanes, their results fade, and they often give up, feeling like they're not making progress. But the truth is, progress is not about intensity, it's about frequency. Showing up regularly, even if imperfectly, always beats sporadic effort. Consistency is not about perfection. It's about persistence. You don't need to perform flawlessly every day. You only need to show up, take action, and maintain momentum. Even when life gets busy, stressful, or unpredictable, consistent effort keeps your goals alive. Every small action contributes to your long-term success. Think about learning a skill. A person who practices a little every day for a year will improve far more than someone who practices for several hours only once in a while. The brain strengthens neural pathways through repetition, not intensity. Habits form, skills improve, and progress compounds when action is consistent. Consistency also builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on your commitments, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that you are reliable. This self-trust is essential for long-term growth. When you know you can count on yourself, taking on bigger challenges becomes easier. It's important to separate consistency from routine mindlessness. Showing up doesn't mean doing things mechanically, without purpose. Consistency works best when paired with reflection and adjustment. Evaluate your actions regularly. Ask yourself, am I making progress? Is this approach effective? Can I improve my system? This ensures that your consistent effort is always aligned with your goals. Consistency is especially powerful when paired with small wins. Every small victory, repeated consistently, reinforces your identity. Each time you act in alignment with your goals, your brain strengthens the association between your habits and your desired identity. Over time, you naturally become the type of person who embodies the habits you are trying to build. One of the biggest challenges with consistency is overcoming resistance. There will be days when you feel tired, unmotivated, or distracted. Showing up on those days is crucial. It's in these moments that consistency compounds the most. Taking action, despite discomfort, builds resilience and fortifies habits. These are the days that define character. Another important aspect is patience. Results often lag behind effort. You may work consistently for months before seeing visible changes. This delay can be discouraging if you focus only on immediate outcomes. Instead, measure progress by your effort and commitment, not short-term results. Trust the process, and remember that consistency compounds invisibly before it manifests visibly. Consistency is also about flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and rigid routines can backfire if you allow them to become obstacles. Adapt your actions to fit the circumstances without abandoning your commitment. Even if the method changes, the principle remains. Show up, take action, and maintain progress. Many people underestimate the cumulative effect of consistency. Writing a page a day, exercising for 15 minutes daily, or reading a few paragraphs every morning may seem insignificant. But when repeated consistently, these small actions become monumental. Over a year, those minutes add up to thousands of hours invested in your growth. Consistency also reduces decision fatigue. When habits are established and performed regularly, they become automatic. You no longer have to debate whether to act. The action becomes part of your daily flow. This frees mental energy for other important decisions and tasks. The environment plays a role in consistency too. Design your surroundings to support daily action. Remove distractions and cues that lead to inconsistent behavior. Make the right actions obvious and the wrong actions difficult. This alignment between your environment and your goals strengthens your ability to show up day after day. Consistency is not glamorous. It doesn't make headlines, and it often feels invisible. but the results are undeniable. The most successful people in the world didn't achieve their goals through inspiration alone. They achieved them by showing up again and again without fail. Consider an athlete training for a marathon. It's not the single long run that makes them capable. It's the consistent training over months, short runs, long runs, recovery, nutrition, and discipline, repeated day after day. Each run contributes to their endurance, strength, and mental toughness. Skipping a day doesn't ruin progress, but missing consistently does. Consistency also fosters momentum. Momentum is easier to maintain than to start. Once you've built a streak of action, it becomes psychologically easier to continue. Missing one day may feel disappointing, but it doesn't negate the power of the streak. Over time, this momentum grows into unstoppable progress. Another benefit of consistency is accountability. When you commit to showing up daily, you create a system of accountability, to yourself first, and potentially to others if you share your goals. This accountability strengthens your commitment and reduces the likelihood of giving up. Consistency doesn't mean monotony. You can introduce variety within your daily actions while maintaining the principle of showing up. For instance, alternating workout routines, exploring new topics while reading, or experimenting with different approaches to learning keeps engagement high while maintaining consistent effort. It's also important to celebrate small milestones along the way. Consistency is a long-term game, and recognition of progress reinforces motivation and identity. Each day you follow through, each small achievement contributes to the bigger picture and strengthens your habit loop. Ultimately, showing up every day teaches your brain that growth is non-negotiable. It builds resilience, reinforces habits, and creates compounding momentum. It shifts your identity from someone trying to someone who acts. And it's this identity shift that ensures your efforts stick long after initial motivation fades. Remember, extraordinary outcomes are rarely the result of extraordinary actions in a single moment. They are the result of ordinary actions repeated consistently over time. The quiet, unglamorous practice of showing up every day is what creates lasting transformation. So commit to consistency. Commit to showing up. Trust the process. Even on hard days, take action. Every step counts, every action compounds, and every day adds to the life you are building. Because when you show up consistently, you are unstoppable. Chapter 7. Tracking Progress. How to measure growth. You can't improve what you don't measure. One of the most overlooked secrets to building better habits and achieving meaningful goals is tracking your progress. Without measurement, it's easy to lose sight of how far you've come, and easy to underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. Tracking progress provides clarity, reinforces motivation, and keeps you accountable. Think about learning a new skill. If you never record what you've practiced or learned, how will you know if you're improving? Without measurement, progress feels invisible, and your brain may assume nothing is changing. This lack of visible results can be discouraging and even lead to giving up. But when you track your actions and improvements, you see evidence of growth, even in tiny increments, and that evidence fuels further effort. Tracking progress doesn't have to be complicated. The simplest methods are often the most effective. It could be as easy as checking off a daily habit on a calendar, noting your workout reps, or logging the number of pages you read. The key is consistency in measurement. If you measure irregularly, the feedback loses its power. Another benefit of tracking progress is identifying patterns. By recording your actions, you can see what's working and what isn't. Maybe you notice that you're more productive at certain times of day, or that specific routines lead to more consistent results. This insight allows you to optimize your habits, systems, and environment for maximum effectiveness. Tracking also reinforces accountability. When you have a record of your actions, it's harder to lie to yourself about your effort. Seeing missed days or skipped actions provides honest feedback that keeps you honest. It's easy to think, "I did enough today," when you haven't tracked your actions. but tracking removes ambiguity and creates clarity. A powerful method for tracking progress is journaling. Write down what you did, how you felt, and any obstacles you faced. Journaling provides context for your actions and helps you reflect on patterns. Over time, reading back through your journal reveals a clear path of growth, showing you that progress is happening even when it feels slow. Another method is visual tracking. Charts, graphs, or streaks on a calendar give immediate visual feedback. Humans respond strongly to visual cues. Seeing a chain of completed actions growing longer each day triggers a sense of accomplishment and motivates you to maintain the streak. Tracking progress also helps combat the all-or-nothing mentality. Many people give up when they miss a day or fall short of a goal. But when you measure progress, you can see that one missed day doesn't erase weeks of consistent action. You can return to the habit without guilt and continue building momentum. Measurement also clarifies goals. Vague goals like get healthier or be more productive are difficult to track and easy to abandon. Specific measurable goals make progress tangible. Instead of saying, "I'll exercise more," commit to tracking minutes, distance, or sets completed. Instead of saying, "I'll read more," track pages or chapters finished. Clear metrics turn abstract intentions into actionable steps. Tracking is especially powerful when paired with reflection. Reviewing your progress regularly allows you to adjust your approach. What worked well this week? What obstacles did you encounter? What changes can you make to improve next week? Reflection transforms tracking from mere observation into a dynamic tool for growth. Consistency in tracking also builds confidence. Every recorded action proves to yourself that you are capable of following through. It reinforces the identity of someone who takes action and grows. The more evidence you have of your efforts, the stronger your belief in your abilities becomes. Another benefit of tracking is celebrating wins, both small and large. It's easy to overlook progress when you don't record it. By tracking, you can acknowledge every milestone, no matter how minor. Small wins accumulate, and recognizing them reinforces motivation and commitment. Tracking progress also reveals how much effort compounds over time. You may not notice daily improvements, but weeks and months of consistent action add up to remarkable growth. Seeing a visual representation of this accumulation reminds you that change is real and achievable. A practical tip is to track habits at the same time every day. Consistency in recording ensures accuracy and strengthens the habit of measurement itself. Whether in the morning, evening, or after completing a specific action, regular tracking reinforces awareness and accountability. Digital tools can make tracking even easier. Habit tracking apps, spreadsheets, or reminders help you log actions efficiently. They often provide insights, streaks, and progress reports, giving instant feedback. But remember, the tool is secondary. The real value comes from consistent observation and reflection. Tracking progress also builds resilience. When you encounter setbacks, you can see that one failure doesn't erase weeks of consistent effort. Measurement allows you to view setbacks as temporary and correctable rather than permanent failures. This perspective keeps you moving forward. It's also worth noting that progress is not always linear. Some days you'll exceed expectations, while others will fall short. Tracking reveals trends and patterns rather than focusing on isolated incidents. Over time, the overall trajectory matters more than individual deviations. Tracking is not only about quantity, but also about quality. Note how well you performed in action, how focused or engaged you were, and the level of effort invested. This qualitative data helps you refine your approach, ensuring that consistent effort also leads to meaningful improvement. Another benefit is motivation. Seeing recorded progress reinforces your commitment. Every checkmark, every logged action, every visual chart acts as a reminder that you are moving forward. Motivation becomes a byproduct of evidence rather than a prerequisite for action. Tracking progress also teaches self-awareness. You learn what conditions help you thrive and what obstacles hold you back. Awareness of patterns, triggers, and results allows you to make intentional choices that align with your goals. When tracking, it's important to balance accountability with flexibility. Don't become rigid or overly critical. If life interrupts your plans, adjust and continue. Measurement is meant to guide and encourage, not to punish. Tracking can also create healthy competition, either with yourself or with others. Comparing past performance to present achievements encourages continuous improvement. Friendly competition can push you to maintain consistency and strive for excellence. Finally, tracking progress is about building a feedback loop. Action leads to measurement. Measurement leads to reflection. Reflection leads to adjustment, and adjustment leads to better action. This continuous cycle of improvement accelerates growth and transforms small efforts into significant results over time. By tracking your progress, you gain insight, clarity, and motivation. You see the evidence of your effort, identify patterns, and adjust your approach. You celebrate small wins, learn from setbacks, and maintain momentum. Tracking turns abstract goals into tangible outcomes and ensures that consistent action leads to real, measurable growth. The key is to start simple, be consistent, and reflect regularly. Over time, tracking becomes second nature. You begin to see how each small step contributes to your bigger vision. You witness the compounding effect of consistent effort, and you develop the confidence that you are not drifting randomly, you are growing intentionally. In the end, progress is measurable, growth is trackable, habits are visible, and when you track your actions and results, you empower yourself to achieve more than you ever imagined. Consistency, reflection, and measurement, these three together form the foundation of unstoppable growth. Chapter 8. Overcoming procrastination. Taking action now. Procrastination is one of the biggest obstacles standing between people and their goals. Everyone struggles with it, yet few understand why it happens or how to overcome it. Procrastination is not laziness, it is a habit, a mental pattern that causes you to delay important actions in favor of temporary comfort. Understanding how it works is the first step toward defeating it. At its core, procrastination is a form of avoidance. The brain wants to avoid discomfort, effort, or uncertainty. Tasks that seem difficult, boring, or overwhelming trigger resistance. You might tell yourself, "I'll do it later," or distract yourself with easier, more enjoyable activities. The problem is that later rarely comes. Days, weeks, and months pass, and the important work remains unfinished. One key to overcoming procrastination is breaking tasks into smaller, manageable steps. The bigger a task seems, the more the brain resists. But when a task is broken into tiny pieces, it becomes easier to start. For example, instead of thinking, "I need to write a 1,000-word report," start with, "I will write the first sentence." Once you begin, momentum takes over, and the task becomes less intimidating. Another powerful technique is the 2-minute rule. This rule states that if a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. If it takes longer, spend at least 2 minutes starting it. Often, starting a task is the hardest part. Once you've begun, your brain shifts from avoidance to action, and progress builds naturally. Procrastination also thrives on perfectionism. When you feel the need to do something perfectly, your brain delays the start to avoid potential failure or criticism. The solution is to focus on action rather than perfection. Progress matters more than flawless execution. Done is always better than perfect. Every completed step brings you closer to the goal and reduces anxiety about the task. Creating accountability can also help overcome procrastination. When you share your goals with someone else or publicly commit to completing a task, the pressure to follow through increases. Accountability partners, mentors, or even simple check-ins with friends can provide motivation and reduce the tendency to delay action. Environment plays a critical role as well. Distractions make procrastination easier. Phones, social media, noisy spaces, and cluttered surroundings pull your attention away from meaningful work. Remove these distractions or create a dedicated space for focused action. A well-designed environment reduces friction and makes it easier to start and sustain effort. Procrastination is also fueled by lack of clarity. When tasks are vague, the brain struggles to know where to start. Clear, specific goals and defined steps eliminate ambiguity. Instead of "I need to improve my health," define it as "I will walk for 20 minutes after lunch every day." Specificity reduces mental resistance and encourages action. Another method to fight procrastination is using deadlines. The brain responds to urgency, and deadlines create that sense of urgency. Even self-imposed deadlines are effective. Break larger goals into smaller chunks with their own deadlines. This structure provides external pressure that motivates action, even when intrinsic motivation is low. Sometimes procrastination is rooted in fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of the unknown. Facing fear requires courage, but action diminishes fear. The more you act, despite fear, the more your confidence grows. Fear loses power when you consistently take small steps forward. Energy management is another factor. People procrastinate when they lack energy or focus. Pay attention to your body and mind. Schedule challenging tasks during peak energy periods. Take breaks, hydrate, and fuel your body with nutrients. A clear, rested mind is far more capable of initiating action than a tired, distracted one. Visualization can also combat procrastination. Picture yourself completing the task. Imagine the benefits and feel the satisfaction of accomplishment. Mental rehearsal primes the brain for action and strengthens motivation. By mentally experiencing success, you reduce hesitation and increase readiness to act. Many people procrastinate because they overthink the task. Overthinking leads to paralysis, where you analyze endlessly without taking action. To counter this, adopt a bias toward action. Focus on doing rather than over-planning. Adjust as you go. Mistakes are part of learning and growth. Starting imperfectly is always better than not starting at all. Time blocking is another effective strategy. Assign specific time slots to tasks and commit to focusing solely on that work during the allotted period. Treat these blocks as non-negotiable appointments with yourself. This creates structure, reduces decision fatigue, and builds a habit of consistent action. Account for resistance too. Some tasks will always feel uncomfortable, but the key is to act despite discomfort. Each time you take action when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your mental muscles. This builds self-discipline and reduces the power of procrastination over time. Celebrate small wins as you overcome procrastination. Even a single completed step is progress. Rewarding yourself reinforces positive behavior and makes it easier to continue. Over time, repeated wins build confidence and demonstrate that action is always more productive than avoidance. Another technique is batching similar tasks. Grouping related actions together reduces the mental effort of switching between tasks and improves efficiency. This makes tasks less daunting and easier to complete, reducing the temptation to procrastinate. Procrastination often increases when goals feel distant. Break long-term goals into short-term milestones. Completing these milestones provides immediate feedback and reinforces the habit of taking action. Each milestone becomes a motivator for the next, creating a chain of consistent progress. It's also important to understand that procrastination is normal. Everyone experiences it. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is how they respond. Successful people acknowledge procrastination, then take immediate, deliberate action to move forward. To summarize, overcoming procrastination requires awareness, strategy, and consistent effort. Break tasks into small steps. Focus on action rather than perfection. Manage your environment. Use deadlines. Schedule tasks during peak energy. Visualize success and build accountability. Every small action compounds into larger progress. By taking action now, rather than delaying, you build momentum, confidence, and mastery. Each completed task reduces resistance for the next action, creates clarity, reinforces habits, and transforms fear into confidence. Procrastination loses its grip when you start, even imperfectly. Remember, the hardest part is beginning. Once you take that first step, momentum carries you forward. Every choice to act, no matter how small, strengthens your ability to overcome delay and achieve your goals. Success is not about never procrastinating, it's about consistently choosing action over avoidance. The more you act, the more natural action becomes. Over time, procrastination fades, replaced by a habit of immediate, deliberate effort. Because taking action now, every day, is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary results. Chapter 9. The Role of Mindset. Thinking like a winner. Success begins in the mind. Before any action, goal, or achievement, there is a thought, a belief, a mindset. The way you perceive challenges, opportunities, and yourself has a profound impact on your outcomes. Those who consistently succeed don't just work harder or longer, they think differently. They cultivate a mindset that drives action, resilience, and growth. Mindset is more than a positive attitude. It is a structured way of interpreting the world, understanding challenges, and responding to setbacks. A winner's mindset embraces challenges as opportunities, sees failures as lessons, and believes that effort and persistence create results. This mental framework shapes behavior in ways that ordinary thinking cannot. Consider two students facing a difficult test. One believes, "I can't do this, it's too hard." The other thinks, "This is a challenge I can learn from and overcome." The first student feels overwhelmed, avoids preparation, and gives up easily. The second student studies, seeks help, and persists. The difference is not in intelligence or ability, but in mindset. Mindset influences motivation. People with a fixed mindset, believing their abilities are static, often give up when things get tough. Those with a growth mindset, believing that skills can be developed, embrace challenges, persist, and seek improvement. Your mindset determines whether obstacles become excuses or opportunities. A winner's mindset also prioritizes responsibility. Successful people take ownership of their actions, results, and circumstances. They avoid blaming external factors and focus on what they can control. This mindset shifts energy from complaining or rationalizing to solving problems and taking action. Resilience is another product of mindset. Life will inevitably bring setbacks, disappointments, and failures. Those with a winning mindset see these moments as temporary, specific, and surmountable. They analyze what went wrong, adjust their approach, and try again. Resilience is built through consistent mental practice, not through avoidance of difficulties. Gratitude and perspective play an important role. Winners don't take success for granted. They recognize the progress they've made and the resources available to them. This perspective fosters optimism, reinforces self-belief, and encourages continued effort. Gratitude also reduces the fear of failure, making action easier. Visualization is a powerful tool for developing a winner's mindset. Imagining yourself succeeding, overcoming challenges, and achieving goals primes your brain for action. Mental rehearsal strengthens neural pathways, enhances confidence, and prepares you for real-world execution. Successful athletes, performers, and leaders use visualization daily to reinforce their mindset. Affirmations and self-talk also shape mindset. The words you repeat internally influence your beliefs and actions. Positive, empowering statements like, "I am capable of growth," or "I learn from challenges," reinforce a growth mindset. Negative self-talk, on the other hand, reinforces doubt, fear, and hesitation. Mindset is a conversation you have with yourself, and you can choose the words that guide you. A winner's mindset embraces learning. Successful people are lifelong learners. They seek knowledge, experiment, and welcome feedback. They view mistakes as lessons, not evidence of inadequacy. By cultivating curiosity and humility, they continuously expand their abilities and refine their approach. Goal setting is shaped by mindset as well. People with a winning mindset set ambitious yet realistic goals. They see potential in challenges and aim for growth, not just comfort. Their goals are aligned with their values, strengths, and vision for the future. A mindset focused on growth allows them to persevere even when the path is difficult. The company you keep also influences mindset. Surrounding yourself with positive, growth-oriented people reinforces your mental framework. Mentors, peers, and communities provide inspiration, accountability, and alternative perspectives. Toxic or limiting relationships can hinder mindset development, while supportive ones amplify it. Self-reflection is crucial for maintaining a winning mindset. Regularly evaluate your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. Question negative patterns and replace them with empowering ones. Reflection allows you to course correct, learn from experiences, and strengthen your mental resilience. Mindset is also about managing fear. Fear of failure, judgment, or the unknown can paralyze action. Winners acknowledge fear, but refuse to let it dictate behavior. They act despite discomfort, knowing that courage and growth reside on the other side of fear. Discipline complements mindset. While mindset shapes perception, discipline ensures execution. A winner's mindset drives action consistently, even when motivation falters. Belief without action is empty. Action without belief is exhausting. Together, mindset and discipline form a powerful combination. A winning mindset also focuses on solutions rather than problems. Challenges are inevitable, but obsessing over obstacles is unproductive. Successful people identify the problem, analyze options, and take action. Mindset determines whether you feel stuck or empowered in the face of difficulties. Another trait of a winner's mindset is adaptability. Change is constant, and rigid thinking limits success. Those with a winning mindset embrace change, learn from new situations, and adjust strategies when necessary. Flexibility enhances resilience and keeps progress moving forward. Patience is also essential. A winner understands that meaningful results take time. Short-term failures or delays are not reasons to quit, they are part of the growth process. Mindset allows you to maintain long-term focus while navigating short-term challenges. Self-belief is the foundation of a winner's mindset. Believing in your ability to learn, grow, and overcome challenges drives action. Self-doubt can sabotage effort, while confidence, even when imperfect, propels you forward. Confidence is built through small wins, practice, and consistent effort. Mindset shapes perception of setbacks. Instead of seeing failure as a dead end, winners view it as feedback. Mistakes are data points, not evidence of inadequacy. This perspective reduces fear, encourages experimentation, and accelerates learning. Persistence is strengthened by mindset. Challenges test commitment, but those with a winning mindset maintain focus and effort. They understand that mastery and achievement are the result of repeated, deliberate action over time. Mindset keeps them moving when motivation fades. A winner's mindset also celebrates effort, not just outcomes. Recognizing and valuing consistent action reinforces positive habits and strengthens identity. When you focus on effort, you maintain control over your actions, regardless of external results. Finally, a winner's mindset creates alignment between thoughts, actions, and goals. It ensures that what you think, believe, and say supports what you do each day. When mindset and action are aligned, progress becomes inevitable. The takeaway is clear: success starts in the mind. Cultivating a winning mindset transforms challenges into opportunities, failures into lessons, and goals into achievable milestones. By shaping your beliefs, perceptions, and attitudes, you prepare yourself to act consistently, overcome obstacles, and achieve extraordinary results. Mindset is not fixed. It can be developed, strengthened, and refined with deliberate effort through reflection, learning, visualization, positive self-talk, and exposure to growth-oriented environments, you can train your mind to think like a winner. When your mindset aligns with action, consistency, and measurement, you unlock your potential. You become resilient, proactive, and capable of navigating life's uncertainties. The power of a winning mindset lies in its ability to influence every choice, action, and habit, shaping the path to lasting success. Because how you think determines how you act, and how you act determines the life you build. Chapter 10: The Power of Focus. Eliminating distractions. Focus is the gateway to productivity, mastery, and achievement. No matter how talented or motivated you are, without focus, your efforts scatter and results diminish. Focus allows you to direct energy, attention, and resources toward what truly matters. The ability to concentrate deeply on one task at a time is a skill, and like any skill, it can be cultivated. Distractions are everywhere. Phones, social media, emails, notifications, noise, and multitasking constantly pull our attention away. Every interruption fragments your focus, reduces efficiency, and increases the time it takes to complete tasks. The human brain is not built for constant switching between tasks. Every shift in attention costs energy and reduces performance. To harness the power of focus, you must first understand your priorities. Knowing what matters most helps you direct your attention intentionally. Focus is wasted on trivial tasks. By identifying high-value actions, those that directly move you closer to your goals, you ensure that your energy is invested wisely. Eliminating distractions begins with your environment. Design your workspace to support concentration. Remove unnecessary clutter, silence notifications, and create physical and mental boundaries that signal it's time to focus. A well-structured environment reduces friction and makes deep work easier to enter. Time blocking is a highly effective strategy for maintaining focus. Assign specific periods for deep, uninterrupted work. During these blocks, commit to a single task and avoid multitasking. Protect these periods as if they are non-negotiable appointments with yourself. This disciplined approach builds a habit of sustained focus. Batching tasks is another method. Group similar tasks together and complete them in one session. This reduces the mental cost of switching between different types of work. For example, respond to emails at designated times rather than sporadically. This keeps your attention on more important, high-impact work. Prioritize the most challenging tasks first. Known as eating the frog, this approach tackles high-priority or difficult tasks when your energy and focus are at their peak. Completing these tasks early sets the tone for the day and reduces stress, while delaying them often leads to procrastination and scattered attention. Mindfulness enhances focus. Being fully present in the task at hand reduces mental chatter and improves efficiency. Simple techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, or even brief pauses before starting work help center your mind and prepare it for sustained attention. Eliminating digital distractions is critical. Social media, news, and constant notifications fragment attention and reduce productivity. Use tools like website blockers, airplane mode, or scheduled no-phone periods to reclaim focus. Reducing digital noise allows the brain to engage fully with meaningful work. Focus also requires energy management. Mental clarity declines when you are tired, hungry, or stressed. Take breaks, sleep well, and maintain physical health to sustain deep concentration. Regular exercise, proper nutrition, and hydration improve cognitive performance, enabling longer periods of high-quality focus. Another key to focus is clarity of goals. When you are unsure of what to do or why it matters, attention drifts. Clearly defined objectives create a mental roadmap that guides your actions. Break larger goals into smaller, actionable steps so that each task has a clear purpose. Purposeful work naturally holds your attention. Focus is strengthened through practice. Just like a muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Begin with shorter periods of deep work and gradually extend them, Over time, your brain adapts, and sustained attention becomes more natural. The power of single tasking cannot be overstated. Multitasking divides attention and decreases performance. Focusing on one task at a time allows deeper engagement, faster completion, and higher quality results. Complete one action before moving to the next, and you'll notice a significant improvement in productivity. Set boundaries with others. Distractions often come from people's demands and interruptions. Communicate your focus periods. Use signals to indicate when you should not be disturbed, and create clear expectations. Protecting your attention is crucial for maintaining deep work. Another technique is the Pomodoro method, working in concentrated intervals followed by short breaks. This approach trains your brain to focus intensely for a set period and rest, which reduces fatigue and improves overall productivity. Find the interval length that works best for you and stick to it consistently. Focus also benefits from review and reflection. At the end of the day or week, analyze where attention was wasted, what caused distractions, and how to improve. Reflection helps you identify patterns and create strategies to maintain focus in the future. Motivation can enhance focus, but it is not enough on its own. When interest or excitement fades, disciplined focus carries you forward. Developing routines and systems that cue attention and action ensures that work progresses even when you feel unmotivated. Eliminating unnecessary commitments is another way to protect focus. Saying no to low-priority tasks frees time and mental energy for what truly matters. Evaluate your obligations regularly and align them with your highest priorities. This reduces cognitive load and strengthens attention on meaningful work. Focus also requires patience. Complex tasks take time and sustained attention. Avoid the temptation to rush or seek instant results. Deep, meaningful work cannot be achieved in short bursts of distracted effort. Commit to consistent, concentrated practice to achieve mastery and significant outcomes. Another powerful tool is the creation of rituals. Start each focus session with a simple, consistent routine, whether it's brewing a cup of coffee, taking a deep breath, or organizing your workspace. Rituals signal the brain that it's time to concentrate, reducing the mental friction of starting work. Eliminating distractions also involves managing internal noise. Self-doubt, negative thoughts, and worry can divert attention as much as external interruptions. Techniques like journaling, positive affirmations, and mindfulness help clear mental clutter and maintain concentration. Focus compounds over time. Every session of deep work builds skill, knowledge, and progress. The effects are cumulative, and small periods of sustained attention, consistently applied, lead to exponential results. Deep work creates breakthroughs, whereas scattered effort produces incremental and inconsistent outcomes. Finally, focus enhances satisfaction and fulfillment. Completing meaningful work without distraction provides a sense of accomplishment, pride, and clarity. Focused effort reinforces self-discipline, identity, and competence, creating a positive feedback loop that fuels future productivity. In conclusion, focus is a skill you can develop. By eliminating distractions, structuring your environment, managing energy, setting clear goals, single tasking, and practicing deep work consistently, you can achieve remarkable results. Focus allows you to direct attention to what matters most, amplifying effort and creating meaningful progress. Because when you master focus, distractions lose power, productivity soars, and your goals become achievable, one intentional, concentrated action at a time.